Broadcast for up to 8 hours.
Are you
Okay.
kidding?
I don't think we're going to talk that long. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this kind of impromptu interview I'm doing. The reason it's on a Friday evening is because my guest, Darren, um, is in Australia. You're like, what, 2,500 hours ahead of me? Something like
Yeah,
that.
36, I think. No.
Something like that, yeah.
No, we're about, I think we're 17 hours ahead, but about 20 years behind.
That is a common joke, but it never gets old.
No.
It never gets old. So we're talking to Darren because he is a very prolific. What is the word? Is it Let's Player? Is it YouTuber? I've seen both used. I mean, what do you think it is?
I would consider it Let's Player. I mean, that's really all that I ever really do is just play hour after hour of games.
You do, and I wanted to ask you about that because my God, do you have a lot of hours? I went back through all. I went back to try and go all the way back to see where it all started, and damn, man, just damn.
There's
Uh,
an awful lot.
it is. So online, you are known as Das24680.
It's funny
And
actually that
hmm,
Americans call it does, but it's actually like in Australia it's Daz. So
Daz,
the the A is an A rather than
yeah,
a.
Daz,
Daz.
Daz, like that.
But it's consistently it's the Americans call it does for some strange reason. I don't know why.
Well, I think when we see one A, we want to go ah. I think that's how we. I think it's.
Yeah,
I think,
possibly.
I think that's how we grew up, learning that it's Daz, like dazzle,
That's it.
Daz.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, like
yeah.
dazzle, Daz. You do dazzle me, Daz. 24680. And you've been doing this for, I saw, almost 3 years. It looked like your first video was in November of 2011. Is that about
Look, I
right?
did. I did some just mucking around, but it was about 2 years ago that I actually started doing it seriously, as in trying to sort of get something online every day or so. And that was all part of a bet, actually, with my daughter.
A bet?
Yeah, it was one Christmas actually. It was because the family gets together at Christmas time, and she lives in Brisbane, which is about an hour and a half away. And she was up, and we were talking about who could. We had a bet of who could actually get the most views in a 12-month period, and the goal, the goal was to try to get to 1 million views. And her idea was to get one viral video that would just go absolutely crazy. And I thought I'll just plod along and just try to get a video up every day and just see if I can accumulate the 1 million views that was sort of the part of the bet in that time period. But I won, but I didn't actually get to 1 million views in that first 12 months.
But you got further.
I got further than she did. She still hasn't put up her one video yet.
Oh God. So she's kind of welched on the bet, basically. She's kind of
Yeah, pretty much.
basically forfeited.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've been doing this for a while. It looked like your first one was actually Distant Worlds: Return of the Shakturi. I never know how to say that. Shakturi? Shakturi? It looked
Yeah,
like
that's
that
how
was
I
the first
pronounce it.
video I saw. It looked like that's the first video I saw on your channel anyway.
Yeah, it's the first of the. Actually, it would have been about that time then, because Distant Worlds was actually where I did start to get the idea that I could actually do something on a regular basis. So,
Hmm.
and that was really where I did launch. What I'm currently doing was with Distant Worlds, which has probably been my favourite game really ever since that time.
Oh, it's so
So,
good. It's so good. We
yeah,
can
it's
bitch about that for
amazing.
probably hours, and we might. But I wanted to tell you. I just wanted to tell you before we really jumped into the meat of this thing. You were kind of the inspiration for me starting to do videos on my own.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Because
surprising, actually.
because I saw you doing it about a year-ish ago, and because of my work schedule and my commute and everything, I was like, I don't have time to do all this writing. I want to do all this writing, but I
Yeah.
don't have time. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll start doing this video thing. This other gentleman I keep linking videos to in my news posts seems to be having fun with it. So I started doing more of it, and I'm like, I can cover 6 games in the time it does with a video that at times takes to cover one game with text and photos. It just
Exactly right. It's funny you say that because I found exactly the same thing. I'm not a journalist, but I was doing tutorials and actually writing up tutorials. And that's actually why I started doing videos. I thought I just can't cover this. I can't do it in the time that I had allowed with doing screen grabs and all the other crap that
oh
goes
my
along with
God, the
it.
screen grabs. Oh my. Okay, how did you do it? Because the way I did it, because I'm terrible at remembering to take screenshots, so I had the program take a screenshot that I was using every like 5 seconds that I was playing. So like by the time I was done the session, I'd have like 800 freaking shots, and then you gotta spend an hour or so just going through them and figuring out the best ones to use.
Actually, no, I wrote this is in Distant Worlds. This is what I was doing it for because I've got a few written tutorials in there. But I would actually just I would play the game and then take a screen grab every single time anything happened, and I would actually crop it as I took the screen grab, so I didn't have to crop it later. And I'd write the tutorial as I was playing, so it was actually yeah, probably not. I don't know. Like it seemed to work as far as getting everything prepared, and then I'd just re-edit after I'd finished. But I then actually had all the screen grabs. But I would take a save game very often, and
Yeah.
if I missed a screen grab, I would reopen the save game and then just go back in and take a screen grab off that. But it was painful, absolutely painful. And
Oh, and not to discount the written word, but I mean, it's kind of. I mean, I'm honestly surprised. I think. I mean, my blog, the blog gets decent traffic, but I think the YouTube channel has been taking off more and more because it seems like these Let's Play videos allow people to connect even better than a textual article in a lot of cases. But some people would disagree. I actually did a poll about that a while ago when I was thinking of switching to video. And some people were like, no, I would prefer to read. And some people were like, I'm deaf, so I can't even, like watch. I felt bad about that.
I
But
think
like,
that I think actually your model is great. I've got to say that it's because I love your website. I think your
oh,
website
thank
looks
you.
brilliant. Oh no, it's just great. And I think that the way I sort of look at YouTube and with video, it's just another media really. And if
It
you
is.
yeah, and so writing is just another way of getting information there. Videos is just another way, and I think supplementing it the way that you do it is perfect. And yeah, I think it's an awesome combination. I think on its own, like particularly with something that what you do, it probably like I think having the writing skills that you've got, and the delivery mechanisms and things that you've actually got there, I think it's a really good combination. So I think it supplements it really well.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. But yeah, I just wanted to say that you were pretty much the impetus for me doing more and more videos, and I'm just having a blast doing these things. They are just so much fun. And I don't know. Do you hang out on Reddit at all? Because I've been hanging out. I've been looking at like the Let's Play communities on Reddit to get like ideas on networking and stuff. And there are a lot of people who like play the game and then record their audio after they play. Do you do that, or do you record audio as you play?
I'm actually really time poor. Even though I've got a lot of videos up, my approach even from day one was to only record as long as I enjoyed it and as long as I didn't have to do any extra work. So I don't do any editing. I don't do any post editing. It's basically as I go. It's click the record button and up she goes. The one thing I do at the very end is I use a program called Handbrake to sample everything right down in size, just so it uploads quickly.
Oh, how do you do that?
I've got like a setting that I've actually got with Handbrake that I've sort of found is pretty good, and it'll get a video down to around about a quarter or a third the size from when I actually recorded it, and I use Bandicam to record, and that down samples as well. So it ends up that I've ended up with videos that might be like 2 or 3 gig at the start that end up being just a few hundred Ks by the time it goes through Handbrake, and
Okay.
it's pretty fast Handbrake, and the quality doesn't change that much. I sort of was a bit worried about it at the start, but it just means that I can, like I go to the beach of a morning and just for a walk or a swim, and by the time I'm gone, whatever video I've got uploading will be finished, and then I can start work. So it just sort of all just works around I don't know, just different routines.
Well, what you said a moment ago kind of leads me into another question I have. You've been putting out a lot of video. Do you
Yeah.
have a set? And you said your time you don't have a lot of time. I'm in the same
No.
boat, so I was wondering, do you have a set time you have it like every day to record? Or you just do it whenever you can, or how do you fit it in?
It's funny, you know, like playing video games is my relaxation. I don't sleep much. I've got to be honest. I wake up at 2:30 a.m. usually pretty much regularly, or latest would be sort of like 3:30, 4 a.m. So I get up very, very early, and usually the first block of time up till around about 5:30 is just getting ready for the day, preparing things with work and stuff like that. So I do, because I work for myself. And then I go to the beach while I upload a video, and when I get back I then start the actual work. By the time late afternoon is kicked around, or mid-afternoon, I'm really, really tired, and all I want to do is relax, and I don't like watching telly. So I just, unless sport's on, of course, but if sport's not on, then I'll just go and play computer games just for relaxation. And I just record whenever I start playing, and sometimes they're no good and I throw them away, but like I'll get a few hours relaxation of the evening, and I've got then a few hours worth of video if I wanted it. So that tends to be the routine, and on a weekend I might be able to do even more than that. So I'll quite often get a month's worth of video done over the course of a week. And
Oh my God.
it's just constant, you know. Like even this morning I've recorded 6 episodes of Endless Legend, and I haven't played that game before, but that's
Oh, how are you liking it? How are you liking it?
I love it.
Yeah, isn't it good?
Fantastic. Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah,
Have you
I
been
mean,
playing it?
I didn't like Endless Space. I'm going to say that right
No.
off the bat. I did not like. I found it very empty and boring. It's pretty. It has a nice interface, but it's ultimately very soulless, I think.
I
But
agree.
Endless,
That's 100%. That's exactly how I feel. It's the interface I thought was brilliant, fantastic, and I
yeah.
really was excited. But you get to the middle game, and it's just nothing. It's just yeah, as you say, it's flat. It's got no soul. Yeah, it's
Oh,
weird.
the worst was I was trying to play Disharmony after the thing came out, and they were saying the AI is better, and I watched the AI sit at my system, just sitting there, not doing anything, just like watching me. And then the next turn, it liked me less. And the next turn, it liked me more. And I didn't do anything. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what the hell is going on? But it's weird. Whatever they learned from that or whatever, in Endless Legend, it works.
yeah, yeah. It really does. It's a great game. And actually, when
Yeah.
I started recording, that's how. Anyway, I had to go through and say, I don't like Endless Space, but I do like this game.
Yeah. It's
Because
really surprising. It's really surprising.
yeah, yeah.
Have you played? Sorry, go ahead.
I've recorded 5 series of Endless Space and didn't upload a single one of them. And the series
Whoa.
is like, yeah, that's like 7 or 8 videos before I gave up. And so that's 4 or 5 hours each time that I played. And just at the end of it, I thought, this is crap. You know, like I can't upload this stuff. So I never ever uploaded anything. But I tried.
No, you see that gives me a great idea, because one of the reasons I can't record all the time is because I live with my girlfriend in a very small 1-bedroom apartment.
Oh,
So
okay, yep.
I can't like record. It's hard to record. Like right now, she's here, but she has to be quiet while I'm recording. That's not really fair
Don't be
to her.
noisy.
Yeah, I mean, wonderful, love her to death. Thank you, honey. But yeah, I'm saying how appreciative I am. I'm trying to be nice. Okay, thank you. Anyway, but we're probably going to be moving soon to a place where I'll be able to have an office,
Yeah.
and I'll be able to shut the door. And it sounds like that's what you have. So you just
Yeah.
gave me the idea that anytime I play anything, just frickin' record. Just frickin' record. Like I just have set aside time where I try and do it when Nicole's not here or whatever. But now it's going to be like close the door, just record. And that sounds like it'll go well. It sounds like, I mean, it's going well for you. You have so many bloody videos.
Look, it seriously is. I mean, this is my office that I'm working in now, and it's
Right.
like upstairs. Like my wife tends to be sort of upstairs a lot of the time. I'm downstairs in the office, and so I don't hear much. I mean, often in my videos you'll hear the dogs barking.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, they get through the different walls in between, but and sometimes you'll hear maybe a door squeak, and that's often my wife coming in, not knowing I'm recording. And I've just got like my num lock is set to pause, so I just, as soon as there's any noise, bang, I just hit num lock and then come back in.
Oh, nice. No, I was
Yeah.
probably going to get like a little light or something to put on the door that I can turn on, or the age old sock on the doorknob.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good idea.
Now I wanted to ask you what you use to record, because I'm looking at you and you don't have. It doesn't look like you have a microphone on your headset. So I'm guessing you're using. I'm guessing you're using an external microphone.
Yes, I invested in a microphone called a Samson. I think it's a 1CU something or other. I forget what it actually is.
Samsung?
Samson, as in Samson and Delilah.
Oh.
And
Okay.
that
I'm
was
writing that down.
Yeah. I was. I forget who else. I was watching another YouTuber. It might have been. Oh, who was it? Might have been Total Biscuit or Jesse Cox, one of those guys. And I think it was one of those two talking about what microphone they had. And at that stage, I did actually need one, not just for doing YouTube, but also for doing video tutorials for clients. And because I do that as well. Look, whenever I build a site or something for a client, I actually just, instead of actually having them sit down next to me, I'll still do that. But while they're sitting, I'll actually then just do a recording of what we've just covered, so they get a video tutorial basically of how to use their website.
Oh. So is that your gig? Are you a web designer? Is that your gig?
It's a large part of what I do. I'm a graphic designer. That's how I started, and so web development sort of kicked in after that.
I was going to ask you how you do such nice thumbnails for all your videos, and I was hoping, hope you said, "Oh, there's just some simple program. I throw some crap together." But no, you're a graphic designer. Great. I have no artistic ability whatsoever. So
I'll let you in on a secret, Brian.
Okay.
It's I found that. And this is just me personally. I found that putting up a thumbnail or not putting up a thumbnail had zero impact on the people who watch my videos.
Oh, really?
So I very rarely put one on. I only do it, like I'm doing it at the moment with this collaborative Let's Play, simply because just to give continuity across the series for everybody. But quite often I just don't. I just can't be bothered. It's for me that's just more work.
You did say you didn't want to do any extra work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wait, can you say the name of the microphone again? I got Samson, but I didn't get the rest.
I can't actually see what the numbers are. I think it was 1C. It might be one. Sorry, C01U. I think is the numbers. So
I'll look that
the
up.
U. Yeah, it's. I really quite like it. I do get a bit of crackle through it, and I'm not sure what that is. I've got a feeling it may be Bandicam, which is what I use for recording. Actually, just not buffering it enough, but I've never been able to get to the bottom of what that problem is. So, but it's been a good microphone. It cost me a little bit over $100, I think, here in Australia. And I just went to a music shop, and they had them there.
It sounds great. I mean, I got a professional microphone. I got a Yeti. I got a blue Yeti, which is nice, but in this apartment with the computer like right next to the desk because there's like no room, it picks up everything.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So there's so much, like, I have to turn it down almost to like nothing and put like almost my mouth against it to get like, and I'm like, that's not going to work.
Yeah, it's. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It is one of those things, but I guess see, once again, I'm lucky. My computer's almost on the opposite end and down on the floor. It's got special fans in it that don't kick in. And once again, being a graphics computer, it sort of had to be pretty high end in that regard.
Sure,
so
yeah.
it's quite quiet, the computer. It's actually, I always worry about my air conditioner, which is actually, I don't know if you can see in the video, but directly behind me and above that shelf is actually where the air conditioner is. So it blows directly onto the microphone.
I do not see that. I don't hear it either.
Oh, it's not on at the moment. It's only about 20 degrees here at the moment. So
Celsius. Sorry, we use the other thing. In this
I don't know how to
Don't
actually.
even worry about it. We're not worth it. We're so stupid. We should just do Celsius and metric everything because it's just a better system. It just makes more
Yeah.
sense. I
We
mean,
used to
sure,
have it.
Napoleon came up with it, but I mean, he was a smart guy. He was evil, but he
Uh,
was smart. Come on.
it certainly is easier. It certainly is easier.
Oh, I
But
know. 1 to 100, 1 to 10, 1 to 20. That was so stupid here.
yeah,
But
it's
I
strange.
did look through the playlists that you have, and you cover a lot of games. But I did notice a few funny things. Like there are a few games where you only have one entry, and I wanted to know why that was. Like it was, I wrote it down. It was Craft the World, Alien Assault, and Starbase DF9 only had one entry, and I was just curious as to why.
Okay. Craft the World, I did mean to go back to. I thought it had potential, but and I was interested in it, but then I have never played it since that one recording. I've never ever played it since, and I
Hmm,
had meant to go back to it, and then in the end, I just thought there's too many other things I want to play, and so I just didn't
true.
bother. And,
Yeah.
uh, same with the the spaceport one. What was it? I forget even
Starbase
what.
DF9, I think it's called.
Yeah,
It's the Double Fine game, I
and
believe.
I played that, and then I think I played RimWorld very soon after that, and just it was chalk and cheese, and I just thought, oh my god, I can't go back to that game, and I never ever will, I don't think, so,
Wow.
unfortunately.
I've not
It's
played
sort of
RimWorld yet. How is
oh,
that?
that is awesome. The
Really?
developer, just the way that look, what the developer did was he actually wrote an engine that was he wrote an engine for tactical shooters, a bit like what's it called? The old one, Jagged Alliance, and
Oh,
he
okay.
yes, so he actually wrote an engine that was to work like a squad-based game like Jagged Alliance, but then he then built RimWorld, I think, as a bit of a test to see what would happen if you used that engine for something that was actually a lot more involved and had more of an ongoing story. So he ended up with this very randomized collection where if you actually are standing behind a rock or up against a wall, you actually have better cover for your shooting than if you're actually out in the open. So it becomes actually it's quite a strategic game, and
Really?
it's just brilliant. It's a brilliant game.
God.
It's one of my favorite games. It's,
Okay, well, I feel like an idiot because I backed it and I have access to the latest, whatevers, and I have not even touched it. I need to I'm downloading it right now. I'm just going to download the damn
yeah,
thing.
get it.
Just
But
download.
it was when I read it, when I read the way that he approached the game, that was what sold me. And it was, and ever since then, I read certain things about that people are annoyed about the graphics and that sort of stuff and the way that it actually looks, but the way it plays is just incredible. And so, and I do like those sorts of games, like Dwarf Fortress and Cataclysm, those sorts of very open-ended type games, and that's another one. Except it does have definitely better graphics than Dwarf Fortress. I don't know if you've ever played that game.
Just about anything has better graphics than Dwarf. I mean, for God's sakes. I tried.
Yeah.
I tried with that game. I really did, and no, I couldn't even broach it. And I love strategy games, and I love open world games. I couldn't even. I couldn't even broach it. It was just like ah. And
Yeah.
there's a space game that's kind of like that too. I don't know if you've heard of this one. It's called, I think, Aurora. It's
Yes, yeah. And I've had so many people say, please play it, and I've tried. I just
Yeah,
can't do it.
it's hard. I tried once or twice, and I'm like, I can't penetrate this. I can't.
No, no,
But
it's
so what got you into Distant Worlds? Because that's how I found you, was Distant Worlds. You were doing Let's Plays of, I think, Legends when I found you on YouTube. I forget, I think someone like mentioned one of your series as a really good tutorial, which they are, by the way. If you haven't seen his series, you have like a 18-part series on just how to play Universe, which is like one of the best tutorials I've ever seen. Now, I'm terrible with like tutorials, even though I have a degree in teaching. So, did you because you said you're a graphic designer and you do like website tutorials, did that give you like the experience to do these tutorials for something as complex as Distant Worlds?
To be honest, with the tutorials, what I find, particularly with the programming and like with the web development, is that when I don't understand something, it takes me about a day to learn or to find the information that I want, because the information always assumes that people actually have a starting point ahead of where I am, and I just assume that if I can't be the only one that's there scratching my head thinking, where the hell does that piece of code go? You know, like you've got the code there, it's the answer, and everyone's saying, yep, great answer, but where does it actually sit? And so I sort of have approached these sorts of things not as trying to assume that people actually have got a set level of knowledge, and because I hate that. I don't know about you, but I just, whenever I come across a tutorial, so often it doesn't actually suit, and so because of that missing knowledge. And in this case, what I did with Distant Worlds was I did a written one where I just went through every single little keystroke almost, and it was well received. And I sort of thought, okay, well, I'm not going to take for granted that people actually do have knowledge even on what keys to press. So I try to remember to say what I'm pressing and what keyboard shortcuts I'm using for that very reason. Also, it gives me something to talk about.
That's true.
Yeah. So,
now, how did you find Distant Worlds? Because for a while, it was a very, very, especially when it first came out, like it was a very, it still really is, but now that it's on Steam, it's kind of blown up, thank God. But for a while, it was really, really niche. And like, even within space game strategy games, it's like a niche within a niche, really. Because it's so unique.
I still remember reading about it, and I would be working and then I'd have a break, and in my break I often go and look at Steam or look at different websites to do with games, because games is my hobby, and and I kept on reading about Distant Worlds with it being such an awesome game, and then I'd go across the Matrix site and I'd see it was $70, and I'm thinking I can't part with that money.
They're more expensive in Australia, aren't they? Typically, aren't the prices usually ridiculous compared to how they are, and like here, for example?
We actually have a policy in Australia. The government actually protects the retailers, and what they do is they actually have a special tax that I don't know what it is, but they force the people overseas to sell their stuff at the rate that the shops here would actually have to sell them for. So it means that quite often with games and things, we can sometimes pay 3 or 4 times as much as what Americans will pay for the same game.
Jesus Christmas.
It's criminal. It's really it's just shocking. I mean, it's for no reason. Like that's just to protect the shops, just to protect the retailers, which really annoys me. You know, I'm thinking if they can't find a model that works for them, then they shouldn't be in business, you know, like in that sort of sense. I know that's harsh, but you know, like there are certain things like with software and that nowadays where things are changing, and if they don't allow stuff like that to happen, Australia's going to fall behind, you know, as far as a developed country, you know, if people can't afford to do things. So anyway, but that's off the point. But yeah, with Distant Worlds, like I would look at the price of it and I would just go, no, I can't afford to do it, and then the next break I'd go and have another look and think, oh geez, I think I want it. But no, I just couldn't part with the money, and in the end I think I posted on the forums that can someone please convince me to that what I need to do, like that this game is worth the money, and I think it only took, like, I was just waiting for someone else to take the blame so I could actually because I think back then I used to, like my wife would get up me if I spent too much every month on games. So I had a bit of a budget, and anyway, in this case, I was just waiting on a third party to say, oh, it's really, really good, so I could blame that person when my wife had a go at me. But it was actually one of the best purchases I ever made, and as soon as I started playing it, in fact, one sense, the putting so much money into a game made me play it for an extended period, and I just loved it, and I've always bought ever since then that particular game. But it was very, very difficult to part with that money initially, and yeah.
Yeah, that was the problem. That was the problem I always ran into. Is like I try to tell people, Distant Worlds is great, you need to own it, and they're like, there's no demo, and it's like $1 million. I can't afford that. And I'm like, it's worth the investment. It's an investment. I'm like, no. But now that it's on Steam, and it was kind of on a sale a little bit But now that it's on Steam, it really seems to be gaining momentum, which is
I hope
great.
so. Because like Matrix is a niche publishing company, and I love what they put out, and I love their commitment to the games, and I don't mind paying extra with a company like that because they're looking after a very much a niche group of people. They're not going to have the Call of Duties or anything like that, and they don't want to. And but I think Distant Worlds was one of the few games that they've got. And I'd put Quadrigger in there as well. I don't know if you've played that game that they've got.
I've not yet, but I want to. I hear it's amazing.
Oh, it's incredible, amazing. Like for such a simple game, it's just it really, really ropes you in that particular game. And but they've got now starting to get games that are simpler than their other war games. And Distant Worlds, even though it is complex, is actually simpler than a lot of the games that they've actually got on their site. So.
Yeah, I think I think I've probably had an easier time playing Distant Worlds than any of the close combats.
Yeah.
Those are wonderful games. I love them to death, but wow, they're hard and they're complicated. But yeah, it's funny. I kind of found Distant Worlds a little late, and I got it right before I lost my job, so I missed Return of the Shock Tree because I couldn't justify buying it.
Okay.
But then
you were the first person to launch Universe. Like your video was the first actual exposure to the game.
I really made sure I could do that because as soon as they sent me a beta, I'm like, okay, I have to put a video out freaking now. And that video, I gotta tell you, I did 2 little preview videos of that one, and those videos got me so much traffic. It's like it blows everything else away. Those videos.
Look, the people were so hungry for information, and like I was too. I devoured those videos to sort of.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm not a modder at all. I'm not a modder at all, so I couldn't really show any of that. But I tried to show what made the game fun. And I don't know. Did you ever play a game back in the '80s called? Well, how long have you been gaming? Let me ask you that. How long have you been gaming?
Look. It sort of splits. I mean, before I had a computer, I would just go down to the arcades and things. But I've got a computer in 1981. I think
all right. So you
83, I think.
Okay, so was there a chance you played a DOS game from 85, 86 called Starflight? Do you remember that one?
No, I didn't play that one.
Okay, that's an amazing game. You should get it on GOG. But that game had an amazing sense of discoverability, like the universe, even though it was on 2 low-density floppies, stuff was happening, like space monsters were flying around and other aliens, and you'd run into them randomly and stuff. It was great. And Distant Worlds is one of the first games I've run into since that 1986 title that gives you that feeling of discoverability, that feeling of exploring something amazing. That no other game, very few... maybe Elite, maybe captured that, but that's really it, But this game, I mean, you got the space monsters, you got the black holes, you got the pirates, you got the other races. One of my favorite things about this game is that little independent colonies can become empires. It's so great.
And one of the things I absolutely love about the game too is just it's so unbalanced. And
is it?
You find a capital ship in the first year that you're playing, and it's just so outclasses anything else, or someone else might find it, and suddenly it's just turned on its head, like the whole game. And I know I've read where people have actually been annoyed by that, but I just love that aspect of that game. You just don't know what's going to come at you, and it's always interesting. There's always a story.
I know. Yeah, I do kind of love that. One game I played where I found that Planet Annihilator, I think it's called.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I've never found it.
It's called the Planet Annihilator, and when you find it, it's right there on the map. It just says Planet Annihilator. So you always see it. So at one point, I was able to get it, and then when I got it, every other race was oh no, and then they'd all declared war on me.
Yeah. Oh, look, and that's the other thing. I mean, it sort of balances things out the way that it sort of works, and it's gotten better and better over time. But yeah, it just puts these super powered things in there and amongst things. It's I don't know. I just find it such an enjoyable game, and no 2 people play it the same way as well, which I think that's a brilliant aspect. There's there's no this is the way that you play it to win it. Like, you know, it's not that sort of game. There's so many different ways you can play it.
Right, like I've watched Larry play, Larry Monty. Guys, if you haven't watched him play, he has nothing on automation. He does everything manually. He is crazy. I don't know how I could not do. I couldn't. My brain would melt. I couldn't do that. But he does it, and watching him do it on his videos are like, damn. How do you do that?
Yeah, he's on top of everything, isn't he? And it's funny because the automation is actually one of the things I find so attractive about the game.
Yeah, it lets you play exactly how you want to play.
Yeah.
You know, like if I only want to be in charge of ship design and espionage, all right, fine. You can
even play where you're just in control of a single ship and leave the rest of the game.
That's how I learned the game.
Oh, really?
I read that in the manual for Legends, and I'm like, I have to try that. So I like imagined myself as like a lieutenant commander, and then a captain, and then I gave myself a small fleet as like a commodore, and I slowly built, you know, up my little. I slowly opened the game to myself, and that really worked for me. You know,
I think that's a very good way to approach it.
Yeah, I mean, when they put that in the manual, I'm like, that's genius. I love that you can do that. You know, I mean, the game still gives you these choices and these options, like, oh, we found ruins, you know, blah blah blah. But at the same time, you're so focused on this one little thing that you can just watch what the universe does around you. Yeah, and you can kind of play it like a space adventure game if you really wanted to. You know, you could play it as a spaceship game if you really wanted to.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it, and it's been like that ever since the very first version. You know, it's gotten better and better, but but that aspect of it has always been there. It's just a fantastic game.
What would you say is your best story from that game?
Oh boy, it's funny.
Probably a tough question. I know it's probably a tough question, but
it really is, and it's funny because every single little thing that happens, like even in the game that we're currently playing, and I've got to apologise. I don't know if your viewers are aware that I didn't upload the save game, and so Brian's actually grabbed the most recent save game from the repository that we're actually using, and so he's replayed my year.
Whoops.
So that was, and I really do apologize. I felt so bad about that.
You know what? That's fine. It's funny more than anything else. Especially when this one guy was like, "Oh my God, I got a migraine from this guy, and he did all this stuff wrong, and you're gonna have to fix everything he did." Wow. Okay.
That was very, very funny. Actually, I read that. I laughed when I saw that.
I was dying. I couldn't even be insulted. I was dying.
No, I didn't take it as an insult. I just took it as a look, because it is, the game's like that. It's, people are really quite passionate about the game, and it's a very interesting user base or viewer base actually with that game too. Like it's. You don't get much flack from people, like as far as personal attacks with that game, which you know, I don't know. There's a maturity there, I guess. I guess it's the difficulty level of the game itself, but I don't know. I like everything about it, including like the community that actually comments and watches. It's you feel close to it. It's good.
Yeah, you're right, because by contrast, when I did one video of Endless Legend. And I said in that video I didn't like Endless Space, and this one guy starts yelling at me, like, "What about the lore for Endless Space? Why aren't you talking about the lore that connects Endless Space?" I'm like, because I didn't really know it. Well, if you'd play the game, just 5 minutes of reading, I'm like, I don't care. I like the game. What's wrong with you? This is good. I don't know. Yeah. People are weird. People are weird about stuff like that. But speaking of games, like, what would you say is the easiest game you have? Like, what game has been the easiest to do a video of? Like, it just flows. You know, like, oh, like, I have no question that I'm going to do a video about this, and it's going to be great. Like, what would you say is the easiest game you've done a video of, or a series of?
Boy, that's a difficult question. I mean, it's because I'm talking about the keystrokes and things. I don't find any game harder than any other game, to be honest. It's actually, I guess that it's more the opposite question. And I'm finding, like, for example, in Endless Legend, I'm not I don't know enough about the game, even though I've already done 6 episodes of it. But I'm not I'm finding that I'm thinking, this isn't as good quality as it could be because I don't actually understand certain aspects of it, and I'm fumbling around. And so that like it's more the opposite. I'm finding that more difficult than I should.
Okay.
And I know that viewers are going to, be thinking, hey, he doesn't know what he's doing, and I don't. so I always try to sort of say, look, I'm still fairly new at it. So in some games, I've actually recorded a series, like a full series, and then not put it up, and then recorded the second one because I then learned from the first one. And
I was going to ask about that because sometimes I've watched some of your series, and it's like you jump in and you seem to already know what the hell you're doing. And because I do the opposite, I start from the very beginning. I'm like, I don't know anything. Let's go. Woo!
Yeah, I've done that before, but I feel uncomfortable myself, because I try to treat it as a tutorial. I feel like if I when I'm actually doing it, we're on the fly and I'm not getting it right. And I did it with Cataclysm. I don't know if you've ever played that game. It's a free downloadable sort of. Yeah, it's a zombie survival. It's actually got worse graphics than Dwarf Fortress.
Oh God, no, zombies. Oh well, I don't know if zombies would scare me there, but zombies typically scare me, so I avoid zombie games usually.
This is a scary game, to be honest. It's ASCII. It's basically an ASCII game, but it's just so open. It's just an incredible game. And I was just fumbling around in that one, but I found that one actually worked. Where, like, I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and I was getting killed within a few episodes. So the series were nice and short, but I got so into that game, and I was illustrating the characters in it and all sorts of things. I was just finding it such an enjoyable, relaxing time that away from sort of what I do for work, I just absolutely fell in love with that game. And it was. I guess in one sense that was the first time where I've actually done a game where I really didn't get I didn't understand the game. I stuffed up with it, but I had such a good time playing it. Whereas usually when I know that I'm not doing it well, I feel a bit funny about it. But not in that game. I just love that game.
Well, I'm going to download it. Which one do I download? There's like 80 of them. Windows Terminal, Windows Tiles. Which one?
I did Windows Tiles, and there's a tile set on the forum called Colleen, and she took it from another guy called Waldo. So I actually started playing the Waldo set, but this person, Colleen, has now taken over and is sort of patching the tile set. So I play the Windows tiles with her tile set, and I find that really quite enjoyable. It's a game though that you have to take notice of. Like, in fact, when I sort of think about games that I relax most with, I actually fall asleep if I'm playing Distant Worlds and not recording it.
Oh no!
I have literally fallen asleep at the table with Distant Worlds playing. So yeah, it's funny. It's every game's different, but no, it is hard to sort of think of a game that I just find easy to slot in. I mean, it's the recording and talking is all I'm doing is just being more careful than I normally would, I guess, when I'm playing the game. And so in that sense, I actually get more enjoyment when I record the games than if I don't record. I tend to get into them in a much deeper way personally. So I actually personally get an awful lot more out of recording and uploading than actually just playing to a large extent. Having said that, I've played Warlock 2. Just played it without recording it. I love that game. Once again, I don't know if you've played that game. Have you got that one?
I have not. I know I want to. It looks fun.
Look, with that game, I read a lot of comments from people who just think it's that the AI is terrible. But I don't know. I just found that game roped me in incredibly, and it's probably my go-to game at the moment. Like, if I just need time to relax and I'm not going to record it and I just want something to veg out with, then Warlock 2 is at the moment that game for me.
That's a huge endorsement, in my opinion. I will definitely have to try that out.
It's always different, and that's what I like, games where it's always different. That's why I like Distant Worlds. Every single time you play it, it's not going to be the same time as the time before. Even just with even you can play the same race and it will play completely different. And
that's true.
Warlock's very much the same. And Warlock, the way that they've scaled that game up is quite interesting. Like, the deeper through the different shards you go, the harder it gets. And so So you actually are just progressing at your own level anyway, all the way through, which I think is just a great game mechanic. So yeah, that's why it just doesn't grow old on me, that particular game.
I'm gonna have
You
to
know,
keep my eye out for a sale on that one. I was hoping it would go down the Steam sale, but it didn't go down enough.
oh, didn't it?
Go down enough. I was
Yeah.
eyeing it and I was eyeing it. Instead, I got because we mentioned Endless Legend. Have you played their other game, Dungeon of the Endless? It's not a strategy game. It's a roguelike
Yeah. I
thing.
couldn't get into it. I compare that game to things like Cataclysm and these other sorts of games, and I could not get into that game. I played it
Oh,
once again for. I think I might have started recording it once and then thought, nah. Did you enjoy that game? Did you?
I'm enjoying it immensely. I'm enjoying
Oh,
it
okay.
immensely. I'm surprised by it because I I was like, okay, these guys did Endless Space, but I liked Endless Legend, so I'll give this a try, and I'm surprised. Speaking of
Okay.
surprise,
Well,
that kind of leads me to my another question for you. Is there like one game that like over the course of recording videos for it and stuff has surprised you the most? Like you had like a certain like your expectations weren't very high, or like you thought it might be one thing but it turned out to be something else. Is there like one game that really surprised you and turned like into something amazing or awful as you played it?
I've got to say that this, even just the thing I was doing today, Endless Legend, has just shocked me at how good the game actually is. And
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. I guess there's
I'm
even
right there
actually.
with you, man. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
Yeah,
to, I'm right there with you, man, with that one because I'm playing. I'm like, oh my god, quests, these are fun. Oh my god, this little
yeah.
siege, this is a great time. The combat isn't so bad. Oh my god, I love the world. It's so vibrant. Wow.
It's the game mechanics. You look at all the other fantasy strategy games that have been released in the last year and a half. You know, you've got Eodor. I don't know if you've played that one. Fallen Enchantress, which then became Legendary Heroes from Stardock. Age of Wonders, Warlock 2, and then you've got Endless Legend. And for me, when I play all those other games, I can see holes in their game mechanics where certain things will then get a little bit boring fairly quickly. You know, like Eodor is you're too constrained. You're not moving around enough.
Hmm.
Fallen Enchantress, you've got city spam. You've got heroes all bunched in together to create stacks of doom and stuff like this. In Endless Legend, all of that stuff is solved. Like it's the pace is just incredible and the balance is incredible. It's I just think it's a great game, and I'm annoyed with myself for not actually having played it before today. I've had it on my computer for months, and I've just and I tried to get into it one time, but I was so annoyed with Endless Space that it actually just clouded how I approached it. And
No, I'm there with you, man. I avoided it for a while for the exact same reason. I'm like, oh god, it's just gonna be Endless Space again, but with orcs or something. And it's so much more than that.
it
You
is,
know,
it is.
it's
The
just
one
so
thing
much
about it that does annoy me is that they've tried to link the lore from Endless Space in with this game, and that's the one thing I think. Why bother? Why do that? Just let it be itself. Like,
Yeah, I don't get that. I mean, I guess for fans of Endless Space who want that kind of continuity, okay, sure. But I like that I still enjoyed the game without giving a shit about any of that stuff. You
yeah,
know, I mean, I don't know. Like that one guy on YouTube that yelled at me. I know nothing about the lore. I didn't care. It was still fun.
yeah,
Isn't that what matters? Like
yeah.
anyone can jump in and have a good time, and you get
It
new
is,
fans
but
that way.
and I think you're dead right because it should be its own entity, and to try to link it back into Endless Space, which is a completely different genre, all you're going to do is just confuse people. Like playing it at the moment, I'm playing. I forget what the race is called, but the actual quest that it's got for that race is actually told through the eyes of an android, and I'm thinking, what the hell? Like,
What? Really?
yeah, seriously, they've tried to link that
Oh.
storyline back to Endless Space, and I'm just thinking, why bother? It was good. It was good anyway. Just let it go. And it's the one little thing that, as I've been playing it, I'm thinking, I'm going to just roll with it. I'm not going to say anything about it. But it's the one little thing I'm thinking, why would you bother doing that? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And for such a great game, it's yeah, it's so that one. Yes, it really surprised me because after doing like 5 series of Endless Space and being so annoyed every time I got to the middle game and enjoying the initial part of it, I just assumed this would be another batch of that, but it hasn't been. It's been, the pacing has just been incredible, and the game design in Endless Legend has been just amazing. So, no, that's for me. And I don't know if it's just because I've got such a poor memory that it's the only thing I can remember is what I did this morning, or not. But I seriously can't think of another game like it. It's great.
Yeah, I'm just surprised at how good that game is. It's just really shocking. So you seem to play a lot of strategy games. Is that your only thing, or do you like all kinds of games? What kind of games do you dig besides strategy games, if any?
I like first-person shooters, and I haven't played them for a long time. I used to be in a clan called the Older Gamers, TOG, which is which is actually an Australian, like I think it was started in Australia, but it's got like a lot of Americans and Europeans as well. So you're playing with people that are all over 25 all around the world, and so you actually end up with these sub-clans that then go and play games. So I played Call of Duty. That's actually how I found that, was I was playing Call of Duty. I'm terrible at those games, but we would actually we would join this clan, and there was like a ladder in Australia where you'd actually compete on a ladder, and that was so much fun. And then went from there into Battlefield with the same group of people, but none of those guys like strategy games. So I was playing that and playing strategy games, but I've found since doing YouTube that I've really just stuck with. I tried once, I think, to go across to first-person shooters, but there's just no interest. I mean, I'm not as skillful as as a lot of the guys that actually put stuff up on YouTube, and so it's of no real interest for people to watch me play those games. So I just stick with strategy games.
No, that's fair. I mean, you've probably seen my channel. I play all kinds of. I play just anything with a spaceship in it. But I kind of find that even if you're not that good at a game, it can still be entertaining.
Oh yeah. Oh look, I've got to say that. Look, even with the when I was watching your video last night, when you were talking to your cat and talking your strategy through to your cat, I was having hysterics.
It's fun to play that game in a character. That's what I have found. Like when I first started learning it, I was like, I was this captain, so I was in a character, and I've kind of stuck with that. So that's what I was trying to do last night. Like, oh, I'm this low-level cabinet guy who like doesn't know anything, but he's stuck in charge of the government while everyone's held hostage. That's why I'm gonna do that again, because that was funny. I
loved it. I absolutely loved it. And that was actually one of the reasons I felt so bad about that I hadn't uploaded the right save file, because I just thought what you did was just so good. It's exactly, when Larry and I were talking about doing it, it's exactly what we wanted it to have happen, where people didn't really know where we'd taken it and didn't really care where we'd taken it and just wanted to have fun themselves. And that's exactly what we wanted out of that.
Now, where did that idea come from, this collaborative? I don't know if you guys have seen, I posted one on my channel. Daz.
Don't worry, I'll answer to anything.
Jeez. You had this collaborative series with Larry Monty, right? Larry Monty?
Yeah.
That's his name. I'm terrible with names. I'm absolutely horrible with names. You and Larry Monty came up with this idea for a collaborative series of Let's Play videos covering Distant Worlds universe. And it's not just you and him. You're inviting other people in. Like you invited me, and there are a few other people. Where did this? It's a great idea. I want to know how it came about.
I've been involved in a few collaborative series over the last couple of years, I guess, and I tend to be the one that ends up doing a lot of the organising, and I guess it's because, like with my job and that, I can do that pretty easily, and so I've got software that basically just keeps track of everybody. So as far as the working out what goes where, except like last night or the night before when I didn't put up the save game, I mean, that didn't work that well. But the more I've sort of played, there's been certain aspects about them that work and certain aspects that don't work, and Larry and I were just having a quick talk about what the possibilities were for a game like this, and one of my biggest fears with this one was the complexity of the game, and then having people try to pick up the game and then follow along with the same strategy. And that was why when we were talking about it, we thought it'd be great fun just to have people of all you know, like we've got people who have never played the game before that are involved, and just have something where people are just going to have fun with it, and it just doesn't matter what state it's in when they leave it. And when we started to work it out, I just thought, well, Larry's hardcore, I'm not. Larry can fix the problems, and I'll just prepare the game for the next person that follows. so, so,
that's a good balance there. That kind of works.
That was the sort of the way that we thought we'd do it. So that way, Larry kicks it off, and then so he starts the phase, and then I just do the middle bit, and then the guest does the last bit. And it's been such good fun. It's actually been a lot more fun than I thought it would be, to be honest. And it's and because it is a complex game, and it's very hard to pick up a game halfway through. Like it's like I don't know how you guys have been able to do that, to be honest. It's you know, to be able to start playing and actually have it, you know, even half inkling as to where things actually what's going on in the bigger picture. It would just be, because I mean, you know, I don't know how many actual videos have been uploaded at the moment, but it must be nearly 30. You know, you can't expect people to look through 30 videos to figure out what's going on.
I looked through 4. I think I looked through the intro, and then like the first couple of the year ones, and then the last one. So that's what I did to kind of get an idea of where things were going. And I still, when I got that save game, I looked at that map, I was like, holy crap, this is crazy.
Oh, it is, yeah.
I'm not that great at strategy games. I love them to death, but I'm not that great at them. I'm too impatient. I'm like, I want to build everything now.
But that's exactly what we were hoping would happen, actually, to be honest. Like when I saw what you did, I thought, oh, this is perfect. And I was so disappointed that I hadn't put the right save file on, because I just thought, oh, this is awesomely good. It's exactly what we wanted, because the last thing you want with this sort of thing is having somebody come in and just try to emulate what they think that you would want them to do, and that then sort of defeats the purpose. You know, you might as well just be Larry or myself playing in that case. And what we're finding even with Larry and myself is that we've got very different ways of approaching things, and that's been quite interesting. I've learned a hell of a lot from like all the different people who've played it, actually, just the way that they've actually approached the game. And it's funny, like it's a game that just has worked for this series, which, as I say, it's worked better than I actually thought it would. And I think it's because the game is so open. I mean, there's other games like, once again, Dwarf Fortress. You can sort of like that's a lot of strategic choices in Dwarf Fortress. That works pretty well as a collaborative, but that's very, very involved as well. You know, like so. One of the things I like about this particular series, with only having 1 year, is that we can roll out the turns every couple of days, really. So it doesn't take that long to actually move through it. But a game like Dwarf Fortress, playing a year, you know, like you're uploading 6 or 7 episodes just to, you know, just to get through that period.
Well, I think one of the nice things about this game I noticed, because I had never taken someone else's save file before, but it doesn't change. I mean, it used the mod, which is great, but it doesn't change how you have your settings set up, which I liked. Like it didn't make it Larry's game, which is everything manually. It adapted to what my way of playing is, which is a lot of advisories and stuff like that. And I think that's great. I think that's great that the game is that open that it just adapts, which is great. And I think because the game has the Galactopedia and it's got a great manual and a lot of in-game help, I think it's a lot more approachable than people give it credit for, I think.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. That was a big surprise to us, actually. Larry and I were assuming that the game was taking each other's settings, and you'll see that Larry actually doesn't. He keeps everything automated because he assumes that that's what's going to be coming through to him. So, and for only until very recently, I think that we've actually realised, actually, it remembers what we had set up and ourselves. You know, not for the game. And so, but I noticed that he still has actually got a few things on automation. So I don't know what's going through his head with that.
I don't know, but it's just a marvelously clever game. Marvelously clever game. Well, we've been talking for about an hour, and it's 8 o'clock here in Los Angeles. Where in Australia are you again? Where are you again?
I'm on the Sunshine Coast, which is just north of Brisbane.
I went to American public school. That means nothing to me. So
okay, you know how Australia is sort of I don't know the basic shape of Australia. The most Easterly Point is just a little bit south of us, so we're about halfway through across Australia, like from north south, but right on the very, very easterly point.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay, I get it. Isn't Sydney on the other side of it? Isn't
no,
Sydney?
Sydney's halfway between us and the southern section of it. So they're still along the coast as well. So along the same stretch of coast, except further down. They're I forget how
Okay.
many thousand kilometres they are, but they're a little way away from us. And then further down from that is Melbourne. So the
It's
three
pretty
sort of major.
massive, isn't it? It's a pretty massive place, isn't it? Uh,
It's about the same size as the United States, but there's a lot in between where there's just nothing. So there's a lot of nothingness, a lot of
You could
desert.
say that about the United States too, and I'll get yelled at for that by some people, as we say, flyover states. But yeah, there's like nothing in between. Like New York and Los Angeles, everything in between, whatever.
Yeah, you're going to be
Really,
popular with that.
it's our own outback. Really, it's a lawless land where people walk around with guns and Target. I don't know what goes on there. It's a strange place.
I've
So,
got friends who absolutely love motorbike riding through America and through those states, you know. So
oh,
whereas
I'm
in
sure they'll.
Australia, yeah, there's just nothing at all. Like, you know, you can go massive distances and not come across much at all. It's
It's
quite
kind of
different,
funny
I
you
guess.
say that because I don't know. Have you ever heard of a book series called the Temeraire books?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, imagine like Horatio Horn. You know Horatio Hornblower and
Yeah.
Master and Commander. Imagine that, but with sentient dragons making up an air force for each country.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of awesome. But one of the books takes place entirely in Australia, and they fly pretty much from one end of it to the other in the course of the book. And yeah, like it's exactly as you said. Most of it just nothing, just barren. Just there's like nothing in there. And I'm like, this can't be right, but apparently it is. So that's kind of amazing. And
Yeah,
it's
I
kind
mean,
of amazing that you keep doing what you're doing. You keep pumping out these great videos. You're basically an inspiration to
oh,
me,
thanks
and
for that.
I hope other people that want to be YouTubers, people should watch this to get ideas and stuff. I want to thank you, Darren, for taking the time. What time is it again there? It's like 1 in the afternoon now, roughly?
Yeah, just 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
So I want to thank you for taking the time on your Saturday afternoon to talk to me. This has been a lot of fun. We should do this again. We should try and
Uh,
maybe set one up with Larry. Maybe do another one. That would be a
That'd be
lot of fun.
fun.
Yeah,
That'd
I
be
think that'd
great
be
fun.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
no,
right.
that'd be awesome.
And
So,
we got 6 people watching this. That's amazing for a Friday night, Saturday morning, afternoon. So thank you everyone for watching. This will be up on YouTube when this is all done too, so you can watch it later. But I'm going to stop the broadcast now. So thank you everyone for watching and have a great night. Bye bye.
thank you.